Welcome back, everybody. We're here in the studio today with my partner, Eric Howerton. I'm Mark Zweig, and this is going to be another episode of
Big Talk About Small Business.
Can I do that with you guys?
Yeah,
let's go there. Big Talk About Small Business.
All right.
Like a little harmony at the end?
Wait, we have a guest here with us today. He's wild and woolly, literally.
Hey,
Matt Woolley.
Yes, you are correct, sir.
And I don't know where this show is going to go based on the conversation we had outside before we came in the studio. But, Eric, why don't you introduce Matt, since you guys have a long relationship?
Yeah, so I've known
our
Matt.
relation is very deep. very deep.
Yes.
Sorry.
That was... Yeah, I mean, you introduced yourself already, so that's all we need to be said. So I've known Matt for a few years now.
Yes.
So back in my White Spotter days, you worked upstairs, and he has a company that he founded, and he still an owner and CEO of DesignSteins, which, from my understanding, is basically a kind of a shopper marketing type of agency that helps a lot of the major brands and corporations, and also winning in retail, such as like Walmart.
Awesome. Wonderful introduction.
Thank you.
Hit the nail on the head.
Thank you.
So did you start out designing beer steins? Is that what the where the word came from?
Here's okay. So
Let's start out right there.
All right. So the name.
Because I've got some guys that are trying to get me involved in a German beer company.
I'm not interested, Mark, but thank you.
Some help. Our steins.
So we've had when we first started, that was always that question, like, you guys design beer steins? Yeah, that's how we plan on making a living in Northwest Arkansas.
Yeah.
You know, you want to be first to market.
That's
so
right.
Beer Steins was where it was at. Now, we had that one, and then we've had people ask us, are we a Jewish-run company because of the Steins? And we've had people
As long as you're not into space lasers, everything will be okay. Go on. I'm sorry.
No, that's quite all right, Mark. I look forward to this interview. We've also had people call us DesignSteins. How you missed that one?
I like that.
Right?
No, I like
DesignSteins.
DesignSteins. Hi, this is Matt Woolley. I'm with DesignSteins.
DesignSteins.
Don't forget, as I like to say, half the population has an IQ below 100. But anyway. And that's evidence of it.
DesignSteins.
Yes, DesignSteins, my dear. I'm with DesignSteins.
So is that like related to Einstein?
It is.
The idea?
It's it's a play on words. It's like whenever we were first
Einstein.
when we first started, it was me and another guy named Jesse Jacobs, who's no longer with the company, but we founded the company together, and we were just kind of looking for names that were going to stick out, because honestly, and it's no slander to anybody else, but everybody was always trying to go for that,
Acronym.
yeah, or that whole corporate staleness, and so it's like at first it took people a little bit to take it seriously because it's a little wacky, but it stuck, and now it works in the area, and there's a few people that know us, and it's good. It's just one of those things that it was between that or Red Rat. That was what Chelsea wanted to name. I was like, that's horrible. Absolutely not.
I like Red.
These unrelated names. It's like canoe or whatever.
Well, I think
What the hell is that about?
Well, he wanted
spell it weird.
He wanted to name it Red Rat.
REDDRATT. Oh, wait a minute! You did that with White Spot.
I did.
I didn't give him.
I guess that's why I like Red Rat.
I gave him hell about that.
You
Constantly.
did.
I did. I really did.
And I changed the I's to Y's. I mean, just
Let's make it hard to search on the internet.
Yeah.
Hey, but who are we to criticize?
No.
The guy how successful he was.
Hey, it worked.
But anyway, so what does DesignSteins do?
So essentially, we're kind of a one-stop shop, as Eric said. For suppliers, do branding. We do, what we call equity pushing design, which is, help brands with already existing, setups. We develop packaging, both engineering and design, creative design. We do displays. And we also do a lot of .com content like videos and photography. So what we tell everybody is from start to finish or anywhere in between, we can help you with the life of a product.
Mm-hmm. So the packaging is a really big deal. It takes some real expertise. If you're going to be selling products on retailer shelves, they have certain requirements that you have to meet. And I think a lot of people are unaware of that when they create a product.
Well, what's really funny is we see people that, depending on who they're outsourcing their primary packaging to, we have to clean up a lot of messes from overseas, shall we say?
Yeah.
And there's just no realization to how each retailer is different.
Yep.
Everybody just thinks it can always be a universal package, and that's not the case.
Sure.
So it's really per retailer.
Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of similarities. I'm not going to sit here and say that Target is substantially different from Walmart or Costco or Sam's or whatever, but you have to be aware of the environment that these things are going in, and you have
it's a big deal.
Yeah, it is. It really is, because how you push stuff across the finish line is just having your product together as soon as you bring it to the buyer. If you bring it to the buyer and you've got a plan in place, you've got great pricing, that's cool, but they also want to know that you're retail ready and that you're ready to execute on whatever you're bringing to them, and that's kind of what we do. We can help people get stuff off the ground. We do a lot of that, but we also work as kind of like a secondary double check system, like a what do they call it with the doctors?
Reality check or
a second opinion, kind of thing.
Yeah.
That we do a lot of that too.
So is it always the stuff you do for products that are going to be on a retailer shelves, or are any of these clients just purely online?
It's both. It's both. So we have a pretty interesting background. We cut our teeth, working for Walmart, so that, that enables a lot. But a lot of people don't understand the reality of Walmart as compared to other retailers. And there is a demand for great execution, great quality, and being able to move fast. And not everybody grasps that.
Sure.
And having that
in large quantity too.
Correct.
Yeah.
And having that understanding allows us to help a lot of I call them the little guys. They're not little, but they're guys that are trying to just sell online. But if you have a successful product, then the next step is to move to a larger retailer.
Well, kind of like the touchdown as a manufacturer or supplier to Walmart or a supplier to retail is to get on Walmart shelves, right? Because you're basically have hit the largest.
Yeah, that's it.
Push through product. But entering in that territory, like you said, a lot of folks don't understand what's the demand.
Sure.
That's it. It's a behemoth.
So how did you learn all that? Did you ever work at Walmart? I know you had an HVAC contracting business.
Oh, wow. You linked in.
You've come a long way from that.
You linked in me.
With that haircut and sport coat, I know you're not like crawling in crawl spaces anymore.
That's another story, but entrepreneur to entrepreneur. So my quick background is this. I cut my teeth in banking. That's where I got my. Don't hold it against me.
No, it's like a great education.
A lot of people
education in business.
Trust me when I say that it was the foundation of everything.
I believe it. I can't tell you how many students I've said, if you don't know what to do, start out in banking, because you'll see so many different kinds of businesses.
Oh, yeah.
If you can be a lender.
So I'll tell you my takeaway from that was I spent 8 years in it. I don't have a college degree. I started 2 weeks out of high school as a part-time teller and basically had a lot of great mentors that helped me rise the ranks fairly quickly. I just had a knack for it. But I will tell you, and you got to remember too. You don't have to remember. You don't have to do anything you don't want to, Mark.
It's true. That's true. Other than paying my ex-wife, I can't get away from that.
No, you have to.
That's
legal.
a lot. And I don't feel any pressure.
It's so true.
Yeah.
I don't feel any pressure, but go on.
That's all right. These are very great conversations. Sorry. So where was I? Starting in banking, I saw, and it was around the time, of the recession of, like the 06, 08, the splendid times. And I will tell you, first and foremost, I saw a lot of guys, come into the bank, and I was more on the ops side, but I did help with consumer lending and a little bit of commercial stuff. And, you could see the guys that were actually doing right, the guys that were making the right plans and had the right strategy, as opposed to the guys that just kind of hit a little bit of luck. That does happen.
Yeah. Oh, sure.
And so that helped me. It also, the other thing too is understanding, and I will say this, here's a little wisdom nugget that nobody asks for, but to you young entrepreneurs that are out there, establish a great relationship with a banker and be very respectful of that. Because understanding, their side of the business too helps both of you to work better together.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't, a lot of people, they want money from the bank.
Bank is your partner.
They are. A lot of people want money from the bank, but then they also want to have the view that, they're the evil empire.
Yeah.
And that doesn't go hand in hand. That does not work.
Yeah, people don't understand. Banks don't make that much money, and they're not equipped to take a lot of risk, and they're heavily regulated. They've got a lot less discretion than,
they have responsibility to shareholders.
And the lenders too. The lenders get it on an individual level. To have a lender that will allow you a relationship and allow trust to take place.
Yes.
That person is sticking their neck out for you.
It's true.
And so, the more respectful you are of that relationship,
that's a good point.
The further you get down the line, when trouble does come about, when you do need that extension, there's somebody that believes in you that you've got a good relationship with.
Or if you need $1 million in 2 days, and you can call up your bank
100%.
Put it in your account because they know you're good for it.
100%.
That's been something I've really benefited from because people are friends. We're friends. They can trust you.
Yeah.
So that was a good place for you to start out. So you did that, and then what happened?
Well, I have a very interesting background.
We'll be the judge of that.
We're here to judge you.
Well, my background's very boring, Mark. I took kind of a hiatus. I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life, and I was actually a musician. I've always been a musician.
Okay.
And I just did kind of what I call everyday Joe jobs. I did anything from.
So you were trying to start a boy band.
Well, I don't have a comeback for that. Yes, the answer is yes. Yeah.
This explains.
We had some good regional success. We called it Back to Work. Back to Work. Anyhow, I did anything and everything from, work for friends, build cabinets. I just didn't want to do banking anymore. I just didn't want to do banking anymore. I got burned out. I tell everybody that, I had got a good position. I was in a good position, especially for a young guy, but I tell everybody that the dream had become the nightmare. I just didn't want to do it anymore. And I did stuff like plumbing and, cabinetry work. You name it. It allowed me to think. And while that was going on too, I was actually giving my one last hurrah at the music business as well. I was in a regional band that did, somewhat successful. We actually recorded an album and was looked at by Atlantic Records, but unfortunately, they declined. But
What was that band? I'm just curious.
There was a band called Calling Tokyo, and it was around the days we weren't meant for Northwest Arkansas at the time. It was more.
We're trying to call Tokyo, obviously.
We were more of a. That's what everybody said. But it was trying to find a punchy name that people would remember. But it was the days you guys probably remember. The days of Bendel Shreve, running, George's, great, still great. Him and Randall were both great musicians, but that was when they were popular. A Good Fight, y'all remember that band?
No,
it was at the time. It was Northwest Arkansas had a great original music scene.
Pumpkinhead.
Yeah, I remember Pumpkinhead. Yeah, and what was that? What was that? Blue Footballs, something in the Blue Footballs or something like that. They were a good band, and Ultra Suede, which they're still doing it. They're still doing it.
They're our best friends.
Great people.
Ultra Suede,
Yeah,
Great band.
Charlie and Chetty. My wife grew up with Chetty, and she trained Charlie in the mortgage business.
Really?
Yeah.
Oreo Blue.
But yeah.
Oreo Blue.
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah, they're still doing it. Great band. Full House. Another great. We're just name dropping bands. Anyways,
everybody outside of Northwest Arkansas won't know what the hell we're talking about.
No, that's all right. Anyway. Hey, that's okay. Hey, this is our conversation, gentlemen. This is our conversation. No? Okay, maybe not.
No, this is for the
cut
people.
this.
Yeah, yeah. Do it for the people.
That's right.
You remember that with the Joe Piscopo act and Saturday Night Live? Do it for the people.
I apologize for speaking out of turn, gentlemen.
Go on. Sorry. No. So you did the band thing, and that was cool.
Yeah. I did that, and then I was always wanted to. I was always an artist. I love to paint, and I love the arts. And I was like, at the time, you got to remember too. I graduated as late '90s, early 2000s era, and at the time, the accessibility for like graphic design and stuff like that was still somewhat limited unless you wanted to go to school. There wasn't YouTube to teach you how to do everything you wanted to do. The Creative Suite was, a $2,000 package of CDs you had to buy and stuff like that. And so coming from a small rural country town in lower Arkansas, that dream was, you just didn't have a grasp on it.
Yeah.
But by the time this had come about, I had started working at a company called, they're still around, Parachuting Penguins.
Yeah.
And that's where I met Jesse at. And, well, I worked at Parachuting Penguins for like 3 months. And, we're not going to name names, but I just wasn't, we'll just say I wasn't confident in leadership, we'll put it that way. And I was like, I'm out of here. But I like what we're doing. And at the same time, I was making some extra money by promoting bands, too, in the area because, working with Brian Crown and a few other people.
Great guy.
Yeah, wonderful. I love Brian. But working with him to promote music. And Jesse helped me do some of it. And I worked with him. Basically, mine and Jesse's working alongside Brian Crown and rest in peace, Steve Butler. Uncle Steve, I saw an uptick in what we were doing, and I made the comment to him. I said, you know what? We should just work for ourselves and do this, kind of half joking, quite honestly. And
do promotions, music.
Well, just anything, any type of promotion.
Design.
So I was like, yeah, he had broad design, and he had transitioned. He'd gotten tired of leadership too, and he had transitioned to another company, and we were working together, and we stayed in touch. And out of nowhere, one day I get a phone call, and he said, I pick up the phone. It was weird for him to call me it was kind of at an odd time, and I was like, "What's going on, man?" He goes, "Let's do it," and I was like, "What are you talking about?"
Let's do DesignSteins. DesignSteins.
Oh, yeah. And so
DesignSteins.
DesignSteins. It's DesignSteins for everyone that's listening. If you're just now joining the conversation,
right?
But anyhow, and so that's what we did. I said, "Are you serious?" He goes, "Yeah, I think we could do it." And I was like, "Yeah, I think so too." And within a few days, we had the paperwork ready and we're up and running. And after a month's worth of hard work, we were making a whopping $200 each a week.
Rock on,
killing it.
Hell yeah, bro!
And but we literally started we started from the bottom. I mean, we started with literally the smallest of the smallest businesses, which gave us a lot of insight.
Sure.
And I already had some of that banking insight too for the need.
I love working with small businesses.
I do too.
Love working
because they're scrappy. You got a limited budget, and you got to make it really works the mind because you have to create heavy impact.
Yeah.
For and that's kind of the foundation that DesignSteins was built off of. Getting into now because. You got to think impactful but scrappy, and we loved it, and we helped a lot of small businesses with. I saw gaps both from a financial basis with them as well as an opportunity in the marketplace, and then we slowly worked ourselves up to being we really white labeled is what it was. We were a retainer based model that was essentially working for behind the scenes and being white labeled, and that's part of the biggest problem. A lot of people say, "You guys have been around for almost 15 years. Where have you been?" It's because we've been in the shadows.
What does white labeled mean?
Basically, it's kind of like blind shipping, right? You don't have as much retail front. You're just in the back end, cranking stuff out on behalf of the bigger agencies or whatever it might be.
Okay.
That's
You're like a sub to them.
Essentially. Well, we worked as a lot of in-house too. Like, we have at one given time we were working as an ideation hub for a toy manufacturer. And we were working in the firearms industry, and we were also working on seafood. So, it's crazy. But like a lot of the stuff, I'd probably say maybe about 60% of it now, but a lot of the stuff you see with Walmart seafood that came for over a decade that came through our hands.
Interesting.
It's about I still see some of the designs out there for some like the great value stuff and that kind of thing. But Eric,
I'm sorry,
Eric.
Hold on, let me grab. I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
I'm in when you're at a conference.
I'm in an interview,
and somebody, and you're in a room with 300 people, and the phone rings, and the guy, I'll tell you what.
The movies too.
Are you shitting me? You just did that?
Jerk.
My God, how
rude.
Yeah. Or they don't know how to turn off the...
Goofy. They just let it ring.
Let it ring.
That's old people do that.
And they always have the goofiest ringtones, too.
Yeah.
It's the goofiest ringtones. They're like, all of a sudden, take on me. And the guy's trying to, look,
I don't want no scrub or whatever. My theory is that your position in the business world is inversely related to the complexity of the ringtones you use on your phone. So that's my theory.
I'm
intrigued. Yeah,
I just have to ring.
I never turn mine on. It stays on silent at all
based on that, I'm like, we're a creative industry, and I'm using a factory default. What does that say about me?
Your importance in the business world is elevated in my mind. Okay.
Yeah, I agree.
It's inversely.
You don't have enough time to go surfing through a bunch of ringtones.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's embarrassing.
Yeah, it's true.
It's
true.
Yeah. One time, here's what's funny. Here's a funny story that you guys didn't ask for. So at one time, I loved the whole custom ringtone thing, and I'm a huge James Bond fan. Love James Bond.
Yeah, me too.
Everything about James Bond is awesome. And so I had specific ringtones for people. The basic one was a da-da-da-da. Right.
Yeah.
And so that was great. But also for specific people, I had the silenced. Is being shot silenced PBK. The ching 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 ching. Well, I was around a client. One time, and all of a sudden, one of my friends, texts me and is it. Ching, 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 ching. And they were, what was that? And I was like, oh, that was a ringtone. Well, what was the ringtone? I was like, oh, it's a silenced handgun and a shell casing falling on the ground. Like, that's kind of creepy. I was like, I know, moving forward. Well, as a fanboy, you thought, this is really cool. But, you never really thought, what is somebody else going to say about that?
So what were the keys to building this business over the time that you did? I mean, how long have you been in business now?
Almost 15 years.
Okay, that's a long time. So what would you say were some of the keys to building it?
Man, so, personally, I would say, what personally helped me was, my faith in God. That's what helped me. And as far as like perseverance to do it, it's a lot of grinding, man. It's the willingness to learn, never saying no.
Yep.
And now, as you progress, you have to learn. You have to throw some no's in there on occasion. I don't like
so
doing
hard
it
too.
Yeah, it is like
once you develop the yes.
Well, even when I say it today, I'm like, no.
Yeah, but I'll still do it.
If you want.
You got money?
Okay.
It's like, no.
Huh? But yeah, I mean, that's what it is. There was a time we learned a lot of the stuff. It just, here's what we would tell people. It was like, look, we don't claim to be experts in this. This is in the earlier days. We don't claim to be experts, but you'll never find anybody that can outwork us.
That's right.
And working hard and just keeping that grind going will outwork talent every time.
Yep.
Now,
Agreed.
if you throw in both, you really got something, and that's where we were blessed. We still are blessed today, but in the early days, that's what it was. It was grind and God-given talent. But I mean, you keep at it. You don't stop.
Right.
And you're always looking for opportunities.
Yeah.
You're built. You have to have somebody that's built to see the gaps. You've got to have somebody that, sees the cross-sell, and, that's another thing too, speaking to sales, I get so tired of the negative sales guy associations. Now, don't get me wrong. There are guys out there that can make it real cringy for all of us.
Sure.
But, wow, y'all did that in unison.
Beautiful.
Have y'all have been practicing?
Well, we're partners.
And you both did a head nod at the same time. I'm going to be honest with you. That's pretty impressive. Let's see if we can do it again. Sorry, Mark. Sorry, Eric. But anyhow, people at home are like, this guy's nuts. But,
No diamond pinky.
Too bad.
That bad.
No.
But,
Go on.
Well, that's it. I mean, you just keep moving.
The negative stigma you say, though, with sales, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm sorry.
It's problem solving. Is
Well,
what
it
I
is.
see it as.
Well, that's what it is. If it was, it's
Problem
having.
solving.
It's not just like we want to. Here's what gets me excited, and it's still to this day, is I love somebody coming to us with a problem, and they just can't see it, and we figure it out. But then while we're figuring it out, we say, "Hey, but what about this also?"
Yep.
And you just see that light in their eyes. You're like, yes, that is it. And there's no greater drug for a guy like me to see that take place.
Sure.
And because you're making impact and you're making a difference.
Well,
that's where I think that's where innovation lies.
Yeah.
Like one of my big problems I have in our current, broader macro ecosystem of business is this idea that you raise, we've talked about it all the time, but you have an initial idea, raise a lot of capital for it, then you start going after that idea without ever talking to the client base and working little by little, because it's in those conversations you find the real diamond of...
It's an iterative process.
It is.
Yes, it evolves over time.
Yeah, and it comes from a mesh, because you can't just hear one person say it, but if you hear one person, just like you're talking about that cross-sell or that also, then you hear it from another client. Then you take it to another client, and they say yes, and everybody's like, eyes are, yes, I need this.
Yeah.
Like you're basically uncovering a bigger problem.
And when that happens, there's for lack of better terminology, there's a magic that happens between you.
Yeah.
Because all of a sudden you're on the same page. All of a sudden you have a mission, and everybody's on board to make it happen. There's no greater feeling in the world. At least for me.
It's not going to happen without trust, though.
Right.
They got to trust you, that you're not just a charlatan. You're not trying to get their money.
And on the
legitimate.
Yeah.
And they can see concern. People can see through the BS.
Sure.
They can also see when you're passionate.
Right.
Well, if your passion is legitimately if you're my client and I go meet with you and you bring up this problem that you're having, do I as an entrepreneur have the passion to help you fix that problem, whether or not I necessarily know exactly how to do it? But to your point is, I know that if I say I'll take care of that, I'm going to bleed out and die trying.
Yeah.
Because it's really about me connecting with you and developing a trust.
Yeah.
And so now if I execute on that, then I can bring up the alsos. Then I'm navigating, looking around for what else is there in this.
Sure.
And I mean, but that trust
and then you become a valued partner.
Absolutely.
Because this guy has a passion for looking out for us without being asked to.
Right.
Exactly.
And that's where the real value is.
It
I hate
is.
to say it. So back on your business, though, just give us some sense. How large are you now?
Right now, we are 13 people hiring for 2 more. Now we're not a huge agency, which that's part of goes back to our business model. We've kind of had a little bit of we've evolved over the years. We started out as a small business. We're still a small business, but like focusing on small business. Excuse me. We regressed into a very retainer-based model, like I talked about, like we were working
Recurring
behind the
revenue
scenes.
streams.
Yeah.
Love that as a small firm.
And then we developed into that plus an a la carte. Mm-hmm. And so really what is DesignSteins now has been really you're looking at since 2020. We're like, I tell everybody we're a new business because we've become a new business about every 5 years. Mm-hmm. That's the reality. We're constantly developing. But as far as the vision is concerned, we're where I always wanted us to be. Mm-hmm. But it took baby steps.
Yeah.
There's times where, and this is a good topic, for encouragement for guys that are out there, because I don't know about you guys, but along the way, I was always grateful for what I was getting. Mm-hmm. But I was always wrongly discouraging myself for not being where I wanted to be. Mm. And don't do that. You just focus on being a better you.
Yeah.
And keep trying, and it'll come, it'll develop, but you don't give up. You keep pushing, and you have to continue to evolve. And that's where we're at. And we've got a few more steps in the process that we're working on as well. And nothing I'm going to bring up today, but it's always about being how can we be better? How can we better serve the client? How can we make impact? And that is the basis of what is DesignSteins when it comes to retail.
Makes sense to me.
Yeah, but it's a struggle, man. It's when you're coming up, those baby steps along the way. I mean, surely you guys have been a little discouraged in your entrepreneurial journeys.
I mean, I personally never have, but I mean,
all you weaklings out there.
Yeah. I mean,
not me.
Just kidding.
No, I mean it is. Well, it's a lot. That's where I get. I won't get on my soapbox. But since you asked, Mark, I get real pissed off whenever I see guys out there, basically tickling people's ears with entrepreneurial crap.
Yes.
Because
me too, brother.
Oh Lord, you hit shit. Here we go. Here goes the podcast.
It's true. They don't know. They're telling people what they want to hear, not what they need to hear.
Amen.
And they're doing it for the sake of doing speaking engagements.
Yeah,
and
they're
selling
parasitic,
books.
basically.
Yeah, they really are. And these younger guys or these people that are doing it, they don't know, man. They don't know.
Well, you'd never make it 15 years if you gave up, okay? All of us here never gave up. We didn't have a bunch of cash.
Right.
And that makes for a better business later.
It does.
Because you claw your way up. It means you're going to be really concerned about cash flow, okay? You're going to be really concerned about selling. Mm-hmm. You're going to be really concerned about keeping your clients and serving them well.
Yep.
And you don't just have this big pot of money over there with your, quote, burn rate, unquote.
Well,
whenever I hear that, I'm just like, oh, shit.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And I tell people all the time, it's like if we had been given, I can tell you, even throughout the phases of DesignSteins, if we'd been given $1 million and any of them, I would have blown it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I am grateful for I'm grateful for the lessons along the way, and they're lessons that you can only be taught when you're in the trenches.
Yep.
That's right.
That's it.
And I tell you, I think that there is I think my experience has been that there is a genuine, serious, and bigger than I imagine gap between what we're talking about and those baby steps and what it takes versus what a lot of other folks are understanding because of the publicity around the other stuff.
Yeah, and the pop culture has distorted what entrepreneurship is entirely.
Pop culture, grants,
social media,
the nonprofit type of thinking and all this type of stuff.
Business plan competitions, pitch competitions,
the funding, the seeding, the
different rounds.
Dude, it's like,
so true.
If you follow my 12 steps, you will be a success.
That's right.
Buy my book.
And this gap, like to me, like in some folks that I've talked with, like I can't even connect now because it's so written. Because like I'm like, we've got to drive revenue, and like okay, well, revenue can mean a lot of different things to people. But the new way of thinking is this long term, huge buyout, sell the firm, millions of dollars of revenue, and I'm like, bro, you got to just make $2,000.
Right.
Yeah.
Go get $2,000.
Show that somebody will pay you for something you do.
And that means you have to call, you have to show up, you have to talk, you have to perform, you have to be out late, you have to get up early,
you have to do the things that you don't want to naturally do.
You need to go to coffee shops, you need to bump into people, you need to say hi, and you need to you got to use every single connection that you have ever had in your life, including your parents, your kids. It doesn't make a crap.
Oh yeah,
that's what you do as an entrepreneur.
You have to have humility. And you have to be willing to put yourself out there. You have to have the ability for to be able to take it when somebody says no.
Yeah, exactly. Not be crushed.
And just keep moving.
Sure.
And then when you fail, because you are going to fail, you learn from it and you do your absolute best to never do that again.
But you don't exactly. You just don't give up.
Yeah.
And if something isn't working, then you try something different.
That's kidding.
And you just have to be relentless.
And you got no money, so you can't wait too long.
That's right. No, you can't strategize. You execute. It's action. Action. You taught me that.
Side act.
Like whenever I worked for you, I'll never forget. Like I can't remember exactly what happened, but we were chatting about something, and I finally realized like the need of action. This tension between strategy and action. Right. You have to have strategy, but you have to take action. And like it's not a perfect formula, 50-50 or 80-20 at any time. It evolves and it bounces back and forth, and you have to do it in parallel sequence too. I try to put time down every week for strategy. But what happens most of the time is I'm taking action all throughout the week. But sometimes when strategy has to take place on Sundays at 7 a.m. when everybody else is sleeping. And you have to get up and you have to do the things you need to do.
That is a great point, and 120%, but you just hit the nail on the head on some advice that has served me well that I didn't take too younger. If you're going to think strategy or think innovation, you got to do it somewhere where you can't be disturbed, and you have to do it somewhere where you're not occupying yourself other than with your thoughts. Because what I mean by that is this. Like, for instance, like I smoke cigars. I love cigars. Fan of the cigar. Sometimes when I have to really contemplate something.
The cop on your podcast.
Brian.
Started the cigar.
Brian Waters. Yeah. Fantastic guy.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But, whatever it is, it may be fishing. But it's something, or, I'll tell you, some of my best ideas have come to me either in the shower or weed eating.
I was going to say, weed eating. I'm with you 100% on that.
Absolutely.
It's a meditative process. Right. You're like doing something repetitive, and yet it frees your mind up somehow.
And you're accomplishing, so you don't feel like you're just sitting there doing
anything. Exactly.
But you have to pull yourself away from the occupation of your mind, and these will do that.
These phones are the disease.
And the family will do that to you.
Oh, sure.
It is.
I want to talk about a real sensitive subject. Because it's ingrained, like as an entrepreneur, I'm talking about as an entrepreneur, the I guess, I don't know what you would call it, the guilt of sacrificing family, friends, health, all that stuff. But my experience has been is that kind of stuff there is a sacrifice as an entrepreneur. As a true entrepreneur, I mean, all of us would have to admit that we've sacrificed in those realms for the greater vision of the business and to try to make it succeed.
And for the greater good of your family.
Well,
Right.
absolutely.
I mean, it's
That's, and
not
I think that the problem there is that whenever you're sacrificing that way as an entrepreneur for the greater good of the family, for and everything else, and for the community and the planet,
right.
However big it gets, no one really understands that other than yourself, bro.
Because this day and time, I would say I've seen it more so than ever. Is that and I'm not trying to get off onto it. Maybe they've said the same thing about my generation too. But I'm saying some of these younger guys that are being, their ears are being filled with all this crap. They think that everything is a perfect balance. And I got news for you. The scale is always tipped. You're always pissing somebody off.
Yes.
You're always feeling guilty about something.
Yeah. No.
Always in trouble a
Always
little
in
bit.
trouble a little bit. That's just how it rolls. There's no perfect existence.
There's a lot of
guess
truth
what?
to
You're
that.
not entitled to that perfect existence either. There's the reality.
Yep.
You're not. That's if something has to be sacrificed. Now, your job, and I got this from a mentor of mine early on, your job is to make sure the thing's always doing this.
Yeah.
But the minute that it stops and stays stagnant, somebody's losing.
Yep. That's true.
Somebody's losing.
You got to ping pong it, man.
Yeah.
You got to, and Mark likes to say integrate.
Yeah, I believe
it's-
in work-life integration, not balance.
Yeah.
It's like you have one of your stepdaughters works here.
Yeah.
That's
I
integration.
get to see her.
Right, exactly. But I
And
will
that
say,
relationship gets developed.
Two souls.
I mean, we've had our spouses on here before. No, I mean, seriously though, the right mate makes a huge difference. I mean, like my wife,
The right what?
mate, my
Mate,
wife's
okay, yeah,
family owned businesses. She owned businesses. She's run businesses. She doesn't. There's never that like, well, do you have to do that now? Thinking, process. Whereas my last wife was all about that. Where her parents were teachers, they were off all summer. They never made any money.
There's family
bankrupt.
big.
Okay,
And
but
you're not making it as a priority. That's the goal.
That's the threat. I mean, and you can understand her perspective based on how she grew up. I mean, so it does make a difference having the right supportive mate.
120%.
Because this thing has to be a team effort.
It does. You
can't get fought every step of the way.
Whenever your scale is tipping the wrong direction and you're putting more focus on the business, let's face the facts. Your better half takes on that burden.
They have
that scale tipping.
Absolutely.
And
to be honest, as an entrepreneur, right? In my mind, when that happens, I'm not even registering it most of the time, especially when I was younger. Like, I didn't even understand that my scale was off. And that's how you get in trouble. But, after you kind of go through those, you start recognizing, like I catch myself like, man, I haven't done like really anything in a couple of days. And so I intentionally, therefore, switch all my energy back over and make sure that I'm going back and letting my partner know that I do love and care, and then all this stuff I've been doing over here is that she's one of the main drivers of this thing.
It's the I'm sorry and I really appreciate you conversation.
Right.
And entrepreneurs have to have that regularly.
It's really critical.
They do. You have to have it.
Yeah, it's so true. You got to be appreciative. I think that's a good point. But it's never going to be perfect. All the misconceptions out there.
Well, it's such
it's like the whole work from home movement. I mean, sure, it's nice to get up at friggin' 10 o'clock and have your jammies on and not take a shower. And
do we have time to go there?
We do because.
But I mean, and then you think you're going to get ahead like that? I mean, and then they resent the fact that other people get promoted or other people have opportunities they don't have when they have no visibility. They're not hearing the chit chat. They're not engaged. They're not in the game.
It's
period.
It's the have your cake and eat it too kind of mentality, and it doesn't work. You're not going to get it. I mean, I remember, whenever, we were doing the whole isolation thing, which I wasn't, and sorry.
Me neither. I wasn't either. I was in coffee.
I was. I'm an introvert, truthfully. I was glad to not see anybody. I was thrilled.
The thought of not seeing anyone makes me die inside. I just remember, I was going to a meeting, and this was when everybody was waving that, well, everybody needs to work from home from here on out flag.
Yeah.
And I told everybody, be careful about that.
I said, be careful about that. And I will tell you, so I remember going, it was an oddball time. Like I think the meeting was like at 10:15 or something like that. So I'm driving on the interstate, and I was going from here to Fayetteville, and there was I just remember seeing the interstate flooded with people. I was like, what is everybody doing at? Because, it's not a time where it should be heavy. But then I started noticing you'd see people with canoes and everybody getting outdoors and stuff like that. And I told everybody, be careful. I said, the guy, and I said this, and, I might get eaten alive, but hey, it'll make for great comments for this podcast. But, I think that there's, you can have a balance there to a certain degree, but it's not a forever thing, and definitely not if you're trying to grind into success. But I will say that, I remember like some of these bigger corporations, like there were guys that were waving that flag pretty hard. Mm-hmm. And I said, watch it, because here's what I found. The guys that were waving the flag hard weren't always the guys that were, we'll just say, really producing for the corporation. But what I found was the people that were actually working from home, they were working themselves to death because they didn't have the real producers were doing double time. And so what did the corporations do? They got rid of the guys that were waving the flag and took their responsibilities and put it onto the people that were grinding. And I saw that happen across the board.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. I mean, here's the thing. There is a requirement for every living creature on this entire planet
to socialize.
Yeah. To team up, to survive.
Yes.
And everything on this planet is in a state of grinding.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And nothing on this planet has earned or deserves the right to lay down, because you will die.
Yeah.
I mean, anything, like I love this quote I just heard actually from Yellowstone, being kind of in that series with my wife again. But one quote was, "Stop moving, you're dead."
Yeah.
And I mean, like that's how you have to continuously move and progress forward. And what my problem is with this work from home situation, and I'm not saying that, like there are good times when you can do that.
Yeah,
you
absolutely.
That focus 100%.
There.
But if you start living that mentality, that is stopping to move. You're out of the community. You're out of connection. You're out of the team. You're out of the social environment.
Right.
Everything else that is going on.
Yeah.
And you will die. Will die.
There's also what you're missing on
in business.
You're going to die.
There are some people.
Forget about it. Just write yourself off.
Seriously, there are some people though that maybe they don't have the same aspirations that the three of us have.
It's true.
Okay, I mean, I've got one of my son-in-laws and one of my older daughters. They both work from home. They make a lot of money. Mm-hmm. I don't think either one ever aspires to be the CEO of the business that they work in. And, they're both very successful, and they've managed to keep their jobs through all this. And like I said, I mean, I'm sure their income is in the top 0.5% probably of the United States. Now, what's it going to be like for them when they're 55 years old or something? That I don't know. Maybe eventually they'll be out of mind and they'll be too expensive, and corporate America will say, you know what, we can replace you with somebody that makes a third of what you make because you're not top of mind anymore. I don't know. That seems like the threat, but they've managed to do that really well.
I would make yourself vulnerable.
Yeah, I think you make yourself vulnerable.
Well, there's certain jobs. I'll be honest with you, full transparency. Leslie, my wife, she has one of them. She's human resources. She works for a company that's 4 states away.
Right.
She's great at what she does, and she makes a nice living doing it. And she's very happy with that. It's very data-driven.
Right.
But I will tell you that what people miss out on in the workplace is that, number one, is that energy feed.
Yes.
Absolutely.
There is a wavelength that we cannot see.
Yes, you're right.
That we feed off of.
Yep.
And
I think you're right on that.
It's the same thing that exists is also the transfer of not just energy but emotion and ideas, and the guys that really bring it have great energy.
Yes.
That they transfer continually between each other.
I think
that's what you're missing out on.
That is a very good point. And I think you miss out on learning.
You
get disconnected and alienated from the whole. Yeah, you can't really say exactly what that is, but you hear better, you see things, you see people, you know.
I chop it up to like, sorry to interrupt, but I chop it up to like, for instance, like, have you ever sent an email and
somebody off?
Right. Well, they read it. You didn't mean to sound this way, but they read it like, this guy's an ass.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But then you're like, no, dude. Well, same thing.
Exactly.
It's the same exact thing. They weren't there to feel the energy and understand where it was coming from. They don't see the passion. They don't see the look in your eyes.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And
yes.
You get lost. And that's kind of a negative instance. But on the energetic thing, whenever there's nothing greater. I have no greater excitement than whenever we bring our team together. And all of a sudden, the ideas just start popping. Yeah. You feel like you can do anything.
Yeah.
You're not getting that through a Zoom meeting.
Okay.
It's true.
I want to take this a different direction because I am 100% behind you. The problem with a lot of companies today that are started by entrepreneurial people is when they sell, the first thing they do is bring in their freaking corporate managers who are better. They're better managers than you, okay? You're too freaky. You're too crazy. Okay, we need real managers in here. And so then they bring the managers in, and then the next thing they do is they start pushing the founder out of the way.
Yeah.
We were talking about Ogilvy and Mather this morning outside, and they start pushing the founder. And then before you know it, the whole thing's run by professional managers, and there's nobody there anymore that's got that energy.
You killed the energy.
You're talking about, okay? And the thing loses its way. But it's a lot of times, look, companies get so much momentum and inertia that they can keep going for years and years and years without that entrepreneur. That doesn't mean that they maximize, and it doesn't mean they adapt as well.
Well, I've seen these guys that come in and, gobble up companies for the sake of creating an empire. And good for them.
Sure.
Great. That's great.
Right.
But I often, in my little vapor of an existence in this career of mine, I've seen that happen time and time again, and you're 100% correct. What happens is they gather all these people because they have the accounts. The reason why they had the accounts was because of that vision and passion.
Absolutely. Yeah. That initial. Yeah.
And then they kill it. They have their huge thing, and then the accounts go away. I've seen it happen time and time again. And that's 100 spot on. If you lose any of that, if you lose that vision and you lose that passion, it's over.
Well, I think when somebody's in Mark, what's the key to success in your business, right? That question's hard because there's obviously a lot of tactical things, but I'm a firm believer that there's a lot behind the energy. Like that's probably the catalyst.
This is great.
When I look back,
I love this.
Yeah, when I look back over my professional entrepreneurial career or my entrepreneurial career, I can't pick one thing or a couple of events. There's been some things that come up most than others, like these decisions and these moves or this strategy. But I know the one thing for certain that drove me to where I was at any level of success that I've had is because I've been relentlessly passionate about solving the market problem.
You are that.
And I don't give two flying shits how much money I make all the way.
You do.
I care
it's
about
true.
Freaking.
You're
I have a
calling of that.
For that, right? Yeah. And that's that's the energy that's driving. That's what makes me wake up. I don't fail.
Yeah.
I won't quit. I will die trying.
That is a great point. And to add to that, one of my mentors told me one time. He said, "Matt, take your eye off the money, focus on the problem, and then the money will come."
Of course. Yeah, absolutely.
Money just
it's an outgrowth. It's a byproduct.
I get paid because I solve the problem.
Right. It's not the goal in itself.
I don't get paid because I want the money.
Yeah.
Your job is to super serve to the best of your ability.
It's so true.
Yeah.
Super serve. I love. So we got two new terms today: the energy that you bring. I like that, and super serve.
Super serve.
It's like I like super size. It's why I try to get people. You talk about super serve. It's like I still battle people in all the organizations I work with to be more responsive.
No,
I just cannot believe in some cases that people think it's okay. I want to get paid more. I want to move up. I want to do better. Friday afternoon, you send them an email and you don't hear back from them until freaking Monday.
Afternoon.
After they've been, right. It's like, what? You're so disengaged.
That's part of that's part of that.
No way.
To me, that's part of that. That's part of that. Have your cake and eat it too crap.
Yeah.
Because I was the guy.
Out.
Well, when you're an entrepreneur and when you're hungry for the business and you need the business,
you're watching your email.
You're watching it. Please email.
Yo, shit.
All right, we got it. You know, it's like on Ghostbusters. We got one
every 2 seconds.
But that's the reality. It's their responsiveness, and I say that. And I will tell you, if you are an organization, let me get off. Just give me the floor for this tangent. But if you're an organization that is responsive, people learn that about you, and they want more of it.
Absolutely.
And here's the reality. So, what has made DesignSteins successful? Part of our success has come from just clearly communicating with people and putting their mind at ease. So when Walmart says jump, you say how high,
baby,
how high, and then you go 2 feet higher and 2 days sooner. That's how you win. That's how you win. And so
that's it.
Whenever something's on fire with a buyer and the supplier is like, okay, we got to figure this out, and they send you an email. You don't want to. I would want somebody doing me this way, but you don't want to sit there. They're relying on you. Wait in 4 or 5 hours, maybe even a day, in anxiety.
Oh my God!
Hoping the fire is going to be put out. No. We say, hey, check this out. We don't have a solve for this just yet, but we're on it. I'll get back to you shortly. If you need me, text me.
Amen.
That's it. That's it. It's as simple as it.
Success is just that.
That is it.
It is.
It just is.
100%.
I'm here for you.
I used to tell the team, folks, we're not here to look for fires. We're here to look for sparks, because the sparks are what causes a fire. And it's just like, it grows. Next thing you know, it's a gosh dang freaking forest fire.
That's good.
Man.
Absolutely.
You don't want forest fires. You want sparks. The sparks are going to happen. I want to rewind real quick, and I know we got to close up, but when we were talking about the work from home stuff, because this podcast is for entrepreneurs, right? I mean, we're really talking about entrepreneurs. Don't get sucked into that mindset, because that is the danger zone as entrepreneurs. We don't want to see entrepreneurs listen to that and think that you can, go raise capital on an idea. You have a lot of equity, and you're going to build this dream, and you're going to be able to have a balanced life, and everything's hunky-dory, because that's where like, I'm legitimately concerned about the emotional welfare of people that get sucked into that.
Oh, yeah.
Why?
They're ruining you. That type of mentality is ruining people. And I've seen it happen, Eric. Sorry, I interrupted you.
I mean, that was really aggressive.
No, well, I mean, it's because I hate it. Sorry to interrupt, but I hate it. It frustrates me to no end, because they don't understand, because you don't know what you don't know. You don't know what you don't know.
True.
And so you're relying on the experts to help you. And if you put the wrong stock into the wrong person, they're going to lead you down the wrong path.
And the reality is, if you read any
you mean
book
all these coaches out there I got fired from corporate America, but I took a course in coaching, and now I'm going to tell you how to be a successful business owner.
With my 12 steps.
Okay. Yeah.
Look, I mean, if you read... I read a lot. I love entrepreneurial history, but I've never read an entrepreneurial book about business, or a statement or a quote that wasn't very humble and just very practically and real. And then it just took this grind, because it's not the truth. Like, if you really read into that stuff, you're going to get the truth from a true entrepreneur, not from the professional
100%.
coaches.
100%. And another thing, too, let me throw this one out there. Everybody's journey is different.
Of course it is.
There's a lot of similarities, but don't get caught up just because so-and-so created this great product. Don't think that you're going to do the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Your journey, your timeline, everything is different. Your job is just to keep moving.
And as an entrepreneur, you will go through all kinds of hell.
120%.
Keep moving forward, though, because if you stay in one place, you might burn up, okay? So
stop moving, you're dead. Stop moving, you're dead.
It's really true.
It's true.
Well, this has been a really fun conversation. So, Matt, if somebody wants to reach out to you, how do they reach you? How do they find
Google
out?
DesignSteins.
DesignSteins. No.
No.
DesignSteins. DesignSteins. www.DesignSteins.com. DesignSteins.com. We own all the domains, so you're going to find us, I promise. And we're on all the socials too, so you see us there. And we suppliers, if you're listening to this, we'd love to help you. And small businesses, if you need some help, hit us up. And here's another thing. Let's make one more great point.
What's that?
Because this is how we are at DesignSteins. But, be available even if money isn't always the factor. So what I say by that, we tell everybody we're here to be a partner. So if you just need a little insight,
of course,
pick up the phone and just give us a call. We're not going to charge you for that phone call. We'll try to help you.
There is something real about business karma.
That is it.
No question.
Very real. You keep helping people.
Yeah.
You keep helping people.
That's the best selling tactic right there, is help out when they need it.
It comes back around, man.
Of course.
It always comes back around. People help me, I help people.
Yep, that's it.
Well, this has been a great conversation, and we appreciate your being here with us today.
That was a blast. Thanks for having me.
And
you have a podcast.
Oh, yes.
that's
yeah,
right.
That's right. I do have a podcast.
Yeah, it's got some very interesting guests on it.
Yes. Well, thank you. Thank you very much. We're trying.
I was hoping you'd get a local musician to right now.
Now, Mark.
Especially some of those older guys.
Yeah.
For a long time.
He's trying. The podcast is simply Matt Woolley Podcast, and you can find us on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple, and we're also on all social medias as well. And I will say this. The Matt Woolley Podcast is about having conversations kind of like this, but what we do is we drill down into just do I have time for a quick spiel? Of course I do. Eric owns this place. So it goes back. You want some good content it's like Big Talk. So Matt Woolley Podcast has a lot of great experienced people that have a true history that you can reference their success, and you can bank on their success. We talk about, things just like this, what makes people successful. And I try very hard to have people on there that just have a lot of proven track record. And that's what we need more of.
That.
Proven track record.
I totally agree.
He's had some good guests like Patrick Sparra. I've seen Brian Crown in here, one of your guests. I mean, it's
Rich
good
Lawrence,
folks. Yeah, a lot of good
Brian
folks.
Waters.
All right.
Mark closes out.
Hey,
thank you for having me, guys.
Yeah, no,
it's our
appreciate
pleasure.
being here.
Well, until next week, folks, this has been another episode of
Big Talk About Small Business. Loved it.
Thanks for tuning into this episode of Big Talk About Small Business. If you have any questions or ideas for upcoming shows, be sure to head over to our website, www.bigtalkaboutsmallbusiness.com, and click on the Ask the Host button for the chance to have your questions answered on the show. Stay connected with us on LinkedIn at Big Talk About Small Business. And be sure to head over to our website to read articles, browse episodes, and ask questions about upcoming shows.